and hopefully,
Yes.
fingers crossed, Annie, we should be live. I've got my laptop down here, so I'm just gonna check in a minute that it is going live and people are joining us. Oh, I can see it already. Annie, we are live. Welcome to tonight's That's on This TV live Monday night broadcast. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, pretty good.
On Annie is absolutely like outdoing me tonight, guys. Right? She's got a way better webcam than me. She's got a better microphone than me, better lighting than me. You've shown me up completely, Annie.
What can I say? You know, you can take the girl out of the geekdom. You can't take the geek out of the girl.
Exactly. Annie, when I was I went to drama school with Annie, guys. We're just going to give people, by the way, like 5 minutes to join before we get cracking with this. And yeah, Annie, I remember you helped me massively with my final year dissertation when we were screening it. We did a comedy show that was called Happy Hour. It was ridiculous. It was with me, Claire and Paula. And we had to screen it. And we had you up some ladders, sorting out like projectors and light and everything like that. And it was a complete...
That was the story of my life at that particular drama school, wasn't it?
Complete geekdom, and I was loving it though. We'd sit in the green room just geeking out, talking about computers and stuff like that, and video editing and all that kind of stuff.
I set up all the computers in the green room, remember?
Yeah, you did. So all right, everybody, I'm going to give people a little shout. I want to say hello to John Fisk, Gemma Simons is in the house, Dawn Wolfington's here, Michael Schofield's in the house. Michael says, lovely lady, she was wonderful to have a chat with when I met her last year. This will be a great Q&A. There you go, Annie. So you've got fans in the house already.
Tell me, remind me.
Where did you meet, Michael? Where did you meet? Let's have a look. And I can put what I can do with this software, guys, as well. So look, we're using something different tonight. I can put stuff up on the screen. So if I want to put John Fisk up on the screen, I think I can do that. And look at that. There's John's quote going on the screen saying, "Hey man, what's up?" So yeah, don't write anything naughty because I won't be putting that on the screen. But yeah, going to give people a few minutes. Annie, this is awesome. We did a live broadcast on actsonthis.tv on the main website about 3 years ago when you had just joined the cast of Hollyoaks. Before we talk about your massive storyline this week, because we want to drive people to watch this, I've seen the trailer and man, like, it's hard hitting. I'm just like, I feel so bad for Sally St. Clair. Before we talk about all of that, there's a lot of people on here, right? And I do this live Monday night broadcast like every single week. And we talk about personal development. We talk about positive psychology. And we talk about kind of ultimately staying in there, hanging in there, continuing, not giving up. Yeah. Can you give people a bit of a recap? Because your story's incredible. Ultimately about how long you had to freaking stay in the game until you finally got this gig that, as you said before, before we went live, has changed your life.
Well... The initial long period was because I gave up the idea of going to drama school when I left school because I couldn't afford it, neither could my family. So I went into the stuff that I was also interested in, which is geeky, computers, and all that kind of stuff. So that basically paid my rent for many years as a programmer and a tech and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't consider, I did some Amdram. Yeah, around and about, but Amdram was always a bit unsatisfying because some Amdram groups can be very cliquey. The one I know at the moment isn't, but I can find them a bit weird. Anyway, so I was working for Coronation Street in 1999 and fell in with the actors and told them about my forgotten dream and persuaded me to go to drama school. And I thought, I can't afford it and I'll never get in. But my beautiful friend, Julie Hesbentalsh, ex-Kaylee Cropper from Coronation Street, now doing incredible things, Broadchurch and the rest of it.
It's an absolute legend. Shout out to Julie.
Legend, yes. 20 years we've known each other. Can you believe that? 20 years. She basically acted as a bit of a mentor to me, kind of saying, yes, you can do it, you can do it. So I auditioned for a drama school in 2000 and 2001, I started in Man Met, and I did my 3 years training there, and then I went straight back into computers because I wasn't getting any work and I didn't have an agent. But at the same time, I was still doing bits and pieces on the side all the time, and I lost my job in 2010, 6 years later, and it kind of focused me into thinking, I've got to stop falling back on doing techie stuff. It's just why don't I just try and immerse myself? And I did. And I did some stuff on the Manchester Fringe. I did some voiceover work. I did a couple of other bits and pieces, some local theatre. I did an episode of Shameless.
A hilarious episode of Shameless.
Where I played an extremely naughty headmistress type thing.
With Frank Gallagher.
Frank Gallagher. Terrible. And basically, a couple of years later, this opportunity came up. And I knew the part, and I knew what was going to happen, and I knew it was a risk and all that kind of thing for my personal life. But I thought, you know what? It's more about getting the work and the career. And I thought it was an amazing opportunity, and I was just very lucky enough to get it in 2015. And since then, life has been very good. But yes, so, I was 50 years old when I got that.
50 years old. And how many years were you in the game before that? So you got that this is the thing. So people get hung up on age, Annie. So they're like, right, you know what, I'm a female and I'm over 30, you know, I'm past it, or I've not made it by a certain time.
Out there for older actresses. The trick is to actually make yourself known. A lot of the problem is that there's lots and lots of people graduating from drama school, and they're all aged between 21 to 25. There are some mature ones, obviously, but that's the vast majority, is that they're early 20s, and the casting pool is immense and the hardest thing. And a lot of people, they give up because they don't get any work, because they're all small fish in the ocean. And it's really only the very, very lucky that kind of manage to push their way to the front and get noticed. Nudge my mic. But if you're willing to actually stick at it, if you're willing to stick at it, a lot of the younger ones drop out because they go, I'm not getting a career, whatever like this. And if you hang on, then the pool becomes smaller and the opportunities start to arrive more. As I say, if you don't count that first chunk where I'd literally given up for life.
Yeah.
I graduated 2004. And it took 11 years before I got the big break. So that's
11 years. Because there's a lot of people, I mean, I am out of uni, so I graduated the year after you, Annie. I'm kind of like, so what would that be, 2005? So I'm 14 years out, not got the big break yet, but I still feel progress I'm making all the time. I feel very fulfilled in what I'm doing. And I appreciate it's just part of the journey. And I'm not on Annie time, I'm on Ross time. You know, it doesn't mean I'm early or I'm late to the party. It's just my own time zone. I think a lot of people, I just really want to hit home again with a lot of people, is like, you are completely working on your own clock. And like, I agree with you, the longer you hang in there, ultimately, you know, yesterday, well, you know what, today, some people have decided they're going to give up. If you hang in there, you've beaten them already, you know. So you were 11 years out of drama school till something happened for you.
It does require the most incredible tenacity, though, and also to continue to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and don't let it beat you down. So that, you know, when you're a certain age, you go in and go, "Hi, I'm really glad to be here," and then, you know, you've not worked for another 20 years or something like that, and you go in, "I'm reading for the part of no," and it can beat you down. It really can. I think it takes a very, very strong person to keep the positivity. For me, I noticed a kind of a momentum to my career. As I say, when I finished when I lost my job, it started a momentum, and things started to come in. I certainly wasn't living off it properly, but I was being noticed for doing things. And the voiceover work was ridiculous, I'll have to tell you. It was from a travel company. And you know, when you go abroad, you can go to the tourist information place and you can get one of these little MP3 players for £5 that you put in your ear. And the guidebook says, enter number 24. And then something comes over the ears of someone going, you're standing in front of something cathedral. You know, that kind of thing. If you go to Cambodia, you'll probably hear me.
Anyone go to Cambodia?
I did all the temples in Cambodia and everything for this company. But it wasn't just me. It was me and my actor friend, and it was kind of little scenes where I played the guide and he played the dumb tourist. So he would go, so what's this place? well, you're standing in front of the such and such cathedral, which was built in something something. Does it have a restaurant?
Right. Okay. So voiceover was propping you up a bit in terms of giving
It
the
was
momentum
quite
of getting.
lucrative, but I did it all myself. So it was the recording. It was all done in my home studio, this little home studio here. All the recording, production, dubbing, everything, and then I would send the MP3s finally through to the producer, and he would have some quality control. He'd listen to them and go, "That one's a bit weird," and whatever. But that kept me going for a year or two. Definitely, hundreds of them. Then we did a couple of comedy podcasts. That was fun, which have disappeared off the internet. I have them, but I don't know if I'm allowed to put them back on because they were really funny as well. It was called the Chop House, and it was I really really enjoyed doing them. Again, I did all the production on it. So and literally Shameless came knocking because a friend of mine was working in the production office, and he didn't get me the part. What he did was he mentioned to David Shaw at Bev Keogh Casting. He says, "You know something? I know somebody who'd be really good for this part." And it was a kind of psychotic home care assistant who turns up to look after Libby Croker, the old Irish woman, and then she abducts her and takes her on a kind of psychological journey and whatnot. And it was terrific. It would have been great, but not to be. And this is the weird thing, and I don't think anyone would mind me telling you this. When you're being cast in your first television role, there is so much scrutiny placed on you as to whether or not you are going to be good enough for television. And a lot of it is down to how much work you've done on television. So the guest role was quite big.
Yeah.
And the powers that be further down the line said, we can't give her that role because she's got no television experience. David Shaw was ready to cast me, and it just didn't happen because the powers that be had some kind of idea that you couldn't just walk into a TV show not having done it before, which is ridiculous. However, I didn't get that one. Rosie Cavaliero did. She's great.
She's good.
But she's very good, and she was great in the role as well. But 2 weeks later, I got another call from David Shaw and says, actually, there's another part that would really like you to have a look at. And I was like, okay. It's this kind of randy school teacher.
He was hilarious, head teacher.
What the hell? And I went and I got it. And that one episode, because I got a lot of good exposure in it, and I had one great scene, just a duologue with Frank Gallagher. I mean, who gets that? So I was very lucky to get that. And it got me my first agent. It got me some stuff on the Manchester Fringe, which I hadn't got before. And as I say, I got to do more auditions, and things started to turn, and work begets work. And it's a shame because there's a big safety thing going on at the moment, especially right now, where they're all not wanting to take chances on unknowns in a way that they maybe did in the past. And it's just a matter of perseverance. And as you said before, perseverance, tenacity, and cheerful smile, and giving it your best shot every time you go into the room, and never go, I've got an audition tomorrow, but I probably won't get that. It's like, you go, this is a fantastic script. I'm really looking forward to doing this. And it's, don't pretend, mean it. And eventually, because when I got that audition for Hollyoaks, I was so excited, so mentally excited. And it went through 2 or 3 different auditions because it was going to be a regular role. Yeah. And they don't take you on for a regular role without some significant screen test and scrutiny. So then the last one was this big screen test in the loft with James, who played John Paul. And he knew that I was being cast, hopefully going to be cast as his dad. And I didn't, of course, because I was just auditioning.
Yeah.
But according to him, after I left the room, they all just went, her, which is lovely. It's lovely. I had to wait 10 days to find out. But then, yes, you get that opportunity, and it does change your life because you want to do your best. You've been given the opportunity. Let's see where it takes you.
Yeah,
and I'm
definitely.
3.5 years in. I'm just loving every minute.
We'll
Sorry.
talk about the journey it's brought you on. But yeah, just to kind of like to pull out the salient points there. Ultimately, one job can change your life. So that first gig that you went in for Shameless, you didn't get the part that you had your heart set on. You got called back in for this other role, and that in itself, again, then I guess just reinforces the belief in yourself to go, actually, you know what, I do have the potential to kind of do this. Gets you that momentum. Maybe you start showing up in a different way, and just one thing leads to the next. But it is about realizing, everybody, that literally one little gig can change the trajectory of your career forever. And you don't know when that's going to come up. Yeah,
being seen is also hugely important. So even if you're getting put forward for an audition that you think, I don't suit this part, why should I bother going all the way to London for a part that I'm no good at? Well, I did that for London. There was a thing called Boy Meets Girl on television, 2 series, and there was a companion piece called Nobody's Perfect, which didn't get made, and I was in the running for that one, and I went down for it, read for it, and then I got recalled in a room there with John Plowman, comedy legend, god, producer, and I'm like, this thing may never go anywhere, but I just sat in a room for half an hour with one of the most powerful comedy producers in the country.
Yeah.
And that's priceless. The fact that you can sit down, meet him, and talk professionally to him as a potential employee. And, they did try and get me for an episode of this series. They said, would you like you? And I went, sorry, I'm kind of busy now.
Right.
Oh, are you doing something local? And I said, no, I'm on Hollyoaks. Oh, sorry, I don't watch it. And I went, no, obviously not.
Yeah, I've got the gig now. Thanks. I'm going to give a shout out to Jenna. Murphy's here. Says she loves Hollyoaks. Vicky's here as well. Says we're so glad you got the role, Annie. Alex said he was surprised it took 10 days to find out from when you left. I want to say hello to Inez, Marie as well. Lowry's here as well. Bobby's in the house as well. Linda's here. All right, Linda, Valerie, Angie as well. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We start putting some questions in for Annie, guys, right? If you've got any questions at all that you want to, have Annie answer on anything to do with working in serial drama, auditioning, things that you can do to get seen. Like we said, Annie basically has to hang in there, till 50 years old and 11 years out of drama school. There's going to be a lot of kind of things that you can do in that time to get seen, get exposure and hang in there so you don't just go completely crazy when you're not working. So just put your questions in. I'll go through them and I'll pull them up on the screen, and we'll try and answer as many of those as we can tonight. So for those who don't know, about the background of creating Sally St. Clair, Annie, and the whole character, and she's had a real, bloody hell, what a story over the last 3 years, and then culminating in this massive storyline this week. Give people just a little bit of insight in terms of, because I guess you had a lot of input in those initial early kind of days, and we claiming? Are we giving the title to you as first trans actress playing a trans character, or I want to give you that, or is someone else?
Soap, yes.
In Soap, yeah. So tell us about what that was kind of like, because it was a breakthrough moment, and now it's been done lots of times. It's kind of a bit more accepted now.
Well, it's happening all over, and Neighbours have just announced as well. I think like everything, any minority who is being excluded from an area of employment or visibility, there has to be a sea change where that changes. And then once you've kind of gotten over something and they go, oh, right, the world hasn't come to an end, then it's like, oh, this is interesting. Let's open it up to other people. Yeah. Myself and Riley Carter were basically both pretty much auditioned and filming around about the same time, unbeknownst to both of us, because...
So Riley's EastEnders, yeah?
He was EastEnders and I was Hollyoaks. I think he hadn't really done an awful lot because he'd filmed a kind of silent cameo in the Halloween episode, but then didn't really appear again until December. So we're slightly out of sync. We were definitely ahead of the curve on that. But EastEnders got the publicity out first, which meant that it looked like we were playing catch up. But I already had like 10 episodes in the can, and sort of I was like, okay, well, there's plenty of space for all of us.
Yeah, there was like this race to announce it, wasn't there? Like PR wise, and maybe EastEnders.
Well, there wasn't a race on our part. We were actually very happy to keep it quiet until like the week before, but because EastEnders came out with, "Hey guys, we've got the first trans person playing a trans character on soap, hey!" and Hollyoaks went, "No, you haven't. We'll have to put something out. We'll have to see."
Yeah.
And then it became a bit of a rivalry, but not between me and Riley by any stretch of the imagination. It became a kind of, oh, who's going to be on telly first? And I was like, so irritating, because he's a young guy and I'm a middle-aged woman. It's like, we weren't even competing. And anyway, I would not compete with another trans person because we are so rare.
Yeah, you can't. No, you've got drop competition, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was really glad when he came into it. The only problem with that is that whoever it was that was organizing, running EastEnders at the time, they got him in and they kind of had a little story with him for about 4 months, and then they just forgot about him. They stuck him away as a chef in Ian Beale's kitchen, having the occasional line and the occasional scene. And for him, I'm quite sure it was fantastic opportunity to be there and whatnot. But at the same time, he just wasn't given the support that a character like that needed. And there was so many stories they could have told. So yeah. I felt that he was really shortchanged about that. And I don't think that he would deny that, frankly. And then, a year after he started, he was shipped out. And I've been there 3.5 years because...
Yeah, you've got longevity.
Well, the Hollyoaks writers have been absolutely brilliant. They've constantly come up with things as the 3.5 years have gone on in terms of... the original storyline was, new head teacher, new broom, Patrick Blake is gone, the demon headmaster, and the strict headmistress has come in. And then it turned into the whole business about John Paul found out that she was trans. She was exposed in the school rallied and actually said, no, we want you to stay. And then it would turn into the story of John Paul and Sally, and the fact that Sally had come to Hollyoaks to find her son.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Who had Myra McQueen and who Sally used to be, had a couple of years of happiness when Sally was a projectionist in a cinema. And Myra got pregnant and Sally ran for the hills, or who Sally was, ran for the hills because she was trans and she transitioned shortly afterwards. So you've got 25 years later, they're thrown into the mix together again, and Sally and Myra meet and they initially hate each other and it goes terrible and lots of misery happens and cries and tears and whatnot. And then they start off as kind of friends and they start reminiscing about the old days. And the pace of this storyline has been very unsoap-like because it's literally been 3 years of build-up. They meet in March 2016. They become friends over the course of the year gradually. 2017, they're kind of best buds again. 2018, she moves in with Myra, initially as a friend who's lonely, but then it rekindles all the thoughts, and then the last year has been a full-on affair, which eventually was going to lead to the wedding, which we're
culminating this week. Yeah,
culminating in this week, and I can't really tell you much more about it because there's much more discussed about it tomorrow, about putting full stops under things because I don't think it's given too many spoilers to say that there's not many ways back from this particular what happened on E4 tonight for them, and it's a bit of a tragedy, Shakespearean tragedy.
You've got to go and watch it if you like. If you're intrigued by what's happened, we don't want to spoil it for you. But yeah, go and watch. Can you get it on Channel 4 online now or anything like that? Annie, or have to wait till tomorrow?
All for the catch up. You can watch it all on there. You can't watch tonight's episode because tonight's E4 episode because it's regarded as a first look. It's not regarded as an official transmission until Channel 4 put it out, which will be tomorrow evening.
Tomorrow, watch that one. I've just seen the trailer for it, but watch it. It's it looks like it's a cracker.
Tomorrow's Channel 4 episode is proper full on, and was very upsetting to film.
Well, really, tell us about this, right? Because I mean, obviously, obviously you've not got, I mean, there's going to be parts of Sally's character that is going to resonate with you. You're going to bring yourself to that role, bring elements of your life in there, because it's something I imagine it would be like me playing a partially sighted character. It would mean the world to me because that's my life, So when you've lived trans as in your life, and then you have to play a trans character with this drama that's going on, what does it do to your performance? Do you think it's got to is this your best work because you're so close to it?
I think it's very true. But to be honest, before I got the job in Hollyoaks, I didn't talk to anyone about being trans at all because I didn't regard it as something that was important to talk about. Yeah. It was something that happened to me way back in the late 80s. And I just got on with my life afterwards, and I got jobs and I did my work and never told anyone, and that was fine with me. I never mentioned it to anyone when I was at drama school, as you well know. It was not something that I wanted to discuss because I was not defined by it. The awkward thing has been kind of learning to have to talk about it because of my position on Hollyoaks. Yeah. And it's a bit like, I shouldn't use the word embarrassment or shame, but there's a little bit of that, a little bit of it, because it's like, well, it makes me different, and I'm not necessarily wanting that to be different, Yeah,
I know. Yeah,
but it is. It's part of me. I can't deny it, and it certainly brought me interesting drama. No, what's happened in terms of going deep emotionally is more or less just soap's an interesting thing, is that you don't have very much time to do anything. You don't have a lot of rehearsal. You get the lines, you do what you have to do, you learn it, and then you go on and you shoot it and whatnot. And when you've got scenes which are just really, really deep and emotional, I just lock myself away in my dressing room and I just work myself up into a state, really. And so, yeah. I mean, one of my drama teachers would have told me to pull myself together, but I do. I just invest in it 100%, and I just believe it. I just look at John Paul or Myra or something, and you go, "This is your partner. This is what's happening to you." And it's not too difficult. I've got a really active imagination. Yep. And I'm able to put myself in that position, and then the emotions just come out, and they just come out onto the camera. And I don't give it too much thought. It's a bit instinctive rather than it's not a process. I would say it's an instinct that I have about it, which has only become more refined as I've gone through the last 3 years.
Yeah, I guess you've seen big leaps in your evolution and sort of like of the craft. You're a better actress now because this has been a big training ground for you. You think? Oh
yeah, definitely, absolutely, definitely. It's when you go to drama school, as you know, they knock the crap out of you and they say, right, there's only 3% of you are ever going to work as an actor, and there's only 1%. You know who I'm talking about. And there's only 1% who will ever make it, and that kind of thing. And they try to put you off it, whatever they do. And they say, we're not here to make you an actor. We're here to give you tools for your toolbox to make you a better actor. And sometimes you don't use those tools for a very long time because the circumstances aren't right. Like plain naturalistic drama often isn't what you do in theatre. Theatre is a heightened thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And television, it's much more close up. It's much more in your face. And I think I did go back and look at my early episodes, and I was very stagey, very stagey.
Well, yeah.
But I think I would say, well, maybe I'm just overreacting compared to what I do now. But certainly I was not as relaxed and not as naturalistic.
You are more understated now, I think. Yeah.
Well, it's more about making her real rather than making her a character. The character is now kind of in me, and I just bring it out when I have to. And normally have to cry and be miserable. And the first time, I have to say this. I just noticed in was it the Mirror or something? There's been an interview with the Coronation Street actress who's just There's been this ceiling fall in the Coronation Street actress, and the can't remember what her name is. I'm really, really sorry.
Who's died?
The headline is
Limbatia.
I cried real tears when Rana died, and something. I'm like, good, you're an actress.
That's definitely the job.
I think if you had to rely, and some people do, I think if you had to rely on tear stick or saltwater tears all the time, you're not going to immerse yourself in it.
No.
I do it for real because I'm feeling it. So I was watching it tonight, and I was just sobbing my heart out because I was remembering the scene. I was remembering doing it. I'm off again, and I have the emotional memory that it just comes out.
How do you get? What are you doing to get into that? What is it? Is it from life, or is it something completely unrelated, or is it just like you're just seeing these people?
It's pure feeling. There's no logic behind it whatsoever. The only times when I do something, and this is really, really corny, if I can't get myself in the mood, if I can't feel it, I have a go-to image that I put into my head, and it's a dream that I had, and I'll have to watch myself. It's a dream that I had of leaving the house one day and finding an injured white kitten in the road, and picking it up, and it just being horribly injured. And
Annie is big on cats.
I'm very big on cats.
Yeah.
And if I just sit and think about that for a while, it just sends me to another place, and I just sob.
Oh, bless you. We'll have no injured cats on this.
No injured cats, please.
No way. I'm going to take some questions, Annie. Loads of people have joined. I just want to say hello to Esther, Steve, Lindsay here as well. I'm just going to take a couple at random. What's Sam saying here? I'm going to put it up on the screen if it's going to help, if it's going to allow me to put it up. It says, I filmed an episode of Hollyoaks last month due to air in 2 weeks. How likely is it that you get the opportunity to be called in again at some point if you've done an episode?
It depends what kind of character you were. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. They have recurrent police and they have recurring doctors. So if you were in as police or a doctor, there's a very good chance you could get called back for that. But sometimes, I think like any soap, they take someone in maybe for a small role, and if they see potential, then they'll consider you for casting. I think getting a foot in the door is very important either way. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. It just depends entirely on who they require at the time. So the answer would be, yeah, kind of, but it's completely random, really.
Yeah, it's down to you need to get with them writers, Sam, and just go, oh, remember this person who was in it a while ago? Right. I saw Martin Sterling, the Corrie writer, on a tram once. I was like, just to remind you, that character called Dave I played. Just letting you know, Martin, I'm still around, by the way.
Do you know what? So I know half the writers on Corrie, and I know the casting director, and I've never been asked to audition for it. So that will not get you anywhere. Knowing people, it just doesn't.
There are no
got to see your work, and they've got to write a character that they think will fit, and they go, hang on, I've seen someone who's doing that. And often it's literally a linking up of very tenuous things of kind of, oh, I saw them doing that thing in 53-2 or something like that, and they might be good for this particular role. It's not, I wouldn't call it a necessarily logical process. I'm not a casting director. If there's any casting directors, I'm really sorry. I'm not doing down your profession. What I'm saying is that a lot of it is down to memory of seeing what people have done, and then a link being made in their research. That's it.
Yeah. And then I guess that just reinforces, what I say a lot about is in terms of, visibility. You have to be seen. You can't just expect people to just find you, come knocking, talk to your agent or whatever. I just think that the more you can put yourself out there in a good way, just creative way, creating content, the more opportunities you're going to have of that link being made, Annie, that you talk about.
Films, student films. Obviously I live in Manchester, so we have a very thriving fringe and kind of up and coming stuff. We've got JB Shorts, and we have stuff at 53-2. We have the actual festival fringe and all this kind of stuff. And there's lots of opportunities because the casting calls are usually open. They're usually a case of, oh, we're going to cast for this particular thing, go to this website. And that's how you get onto that rung of the ladder. The main house productions, pretty much they don't really take kind of cold submissions anymore. They've taken all, and this is something I find quite unhappy, is that all the main house theatres in Manchester have now removed all their casting information from their websites. I think maybe Bolton Opticon still has, but Royal Exchange, Home, that used to be Library Theatre, Oldham Coliseum, they've just taken down, but they just don't want the cold submissions anymore that they were obviously getting, because people were going, oh, I'd be good for that part. And, you know, that the cold submission never worked for me, ever. I never got invited for any of that stuff, and you know, that's money, that's headshots and God knows what else, and it is really, now I see this substrata of fringe theatre where you get paid very little, if at all. That's the problem, is that there's a lot of the bedrock of your career has to be built by literally earning no money at all, and it ain't great, and it's not how it should be, and it's definitely not what Equity would want. But the likes of JB Shorts, which is a profit share kind of thing, but also the Fringe and also the other stuff that's going on. The stuff at 3 Minute Theatre is also really good. They're also casting for people all the time. So you get involved with that, and you stop being rusty. You get a chance to be on a stage doing something. And so what if it might just pay for your bus fare and a couple of pints at the end of the night? You're still having fun, aren't you? And also, these places are frequented all the time by the major casting directors, like Jerry Knight Smith and Faye Starling. And
well, Joanne Moss casts JB Shorts, doesn't she? She's, you know, she did Corrie so a lot of the time. So
yes, and she still does. Joanne mostly casts supporting actors, but she the theatre stuff, she gets to cast actually the main stuff.
Yeah,
and she's become really good at that. And you know, there's a lot of people who have been in stuff like that who've then gone on to do stuff in Corrie and Emmerdale and things like that because they've been seen. And I think that's it. I think that's the trick. And it's certainly how I kind of got invited to do things by being seen.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, let's aim to get seen even more. Sam, you spoke about headshots. Matt Gulliver's here. All right, Matt. I used to work with Matt. He's a headshot photographer, though, Annie. This is an interesting question. I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna whack it up so we can just discuss it in a bit more detail. It says, "Hi guys, I was wondering how important was it in the audition process? How important is the headshot you have prior to auditioning? Do you need a headshot for each role you want?" So I guess that's in terms of going, right, I'm going to target the casting director for a particular role with a particular type of headshot. Now, generally, Matt, you have one main spotlight headshot, you know, for Spotlight, which is like your general headshot. There's certainly nothing wrong, though, and is we getting a few alternatives so you can, you know, target people specifically. If it's a comedy, maybe you've got one that's a bit more of a comedy one.
Especially here. Gentlemen, have one with a beard and then shave it off and have a photo of you without one. Slick your hair back. Girls, tie your hair back. Hair is a really interesting thing because it can transform a character completely.
Yeah.
And I would say that is more important than just being...
There's a few different expressions.
Because you know you can pull faces. From my point of view, I had a couple made up which were just slightly different hair treatment and slightly different lighting, and you know, that was interesting. The good thing now, of course, is that Spotlight is no longer published paper books, and my God, they had them on for so long, and it was like,
remember when me and you flicking through in the green room at drama school, weren't we? Remember just looking at everybody's shots going, oh, here's John Cleese, he's dressed as a rabbit.
It's just madness. Now you have an element of control over your Spotlight entry. I'm not on Spotlight at the moment because I don't need to pay for it because I'm in something, but I'll be taking a subscription out again as and when I leave. But you have control over it. You can put your own credits on. You can have up to something like 10 photos or something like that. You can put your show reel on. You can put your voice reel on. So it's now very much a go-to place for a casting director to go in, put all the stuff, all the search criteria in for the character, go through, spend 30 seconds looking at a promo. Don't make any show reels longer than about 2 minutes, whatever you do, because they'll never come to the end of it. It's literally got to be boom, 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 and no montages.
Yep, absolutely.
No montages.
We cover that a lot in when we talk about show reels. Yeah, 2 minutes and 19 seconds. I always say is the longest you can have it, because that means you can upload it natively to Twitter. Then, Annie.
Yeah, but also that there's a move now to stop doing black and white, and I think we've come to the point where black and white is absolutely pointless.
Yep.
Because theatre isn't black and white. They don't make black and white movies. And they're only going to make black and white television if it's very arty. And I don't honestly see any point in it. You know, lots of contrast, lots of moodiness. No, show people in colour the way that you'd see them on television. And that way, someone can go, oh, okay, they've got an interesting shape. Don't hide the features of your face. I've got quite a decent-sized nose, which I'm not ashamed of at all. Be modern with it. Be modern with your approach. Be modern with don't be afraid to put photos on your spotlight which aren't just headshots of this. Actually have a photo maybe of you looking out a window. Let them see your profile. Let them see your profile, no matter how much you might not like it. Profiles are great because you know I'm in profile shot all the time on that show. That's the advice that I would give for that, definitely. And because we've all gone electronic, the costs have radically gone down in terms of how much it costs a photographer to take the photographs, how much the client has to pay for stuff. Obviously, there's a job to be done there, you know, and the photographer is very important, and their eye is what you're paying for. You're not paying for the photos, you're paying for their eye and their ability to bring you out. But the ability now to just upload stuff back and forth, and that's how it works. They say to you, oh, can you send us this? The era of the self-tape is here.
Yep.
And I have a little setup here, but I also have my iPad, which is here. And actually, I'll show you. This is my little iPad setup. So I have a microphone stand.
We have to just move it a bit further in because this cuts. So get it right center, Annie. There you go.
Right. So I have a microphone stand here, and that's on the front of it, little stand. So I set it up like that, and there we go. Beep, and you're just straight into it. Invest in a microphone stand that'll cost you £18 because your self tapes. That's going to be important.
Yep, definitely. So Matt, yeah, in terms of how many headshots people have, there's definitely merit for 3, 4. I don't think you need a dozen of them, but when you're getting clients in, Matt, encourage them, mate. Particularly what Annie was saying about hair and stuff, it can really, really change, and beards for guys can really change people's appearance radically.
Don't be afraid to shave your beard off because it'll grow back.
Oh, well, mine just grows very, very ginger, Annie. I don't like it, so I don't have one really ever. Linda says, if you were on TV years ago, let's throw this one up. So Linda must have been on TV years ago. If you're on TV years ago, but not now, so obviously she's taken a break. How do you get back to TV? She says through an agent or who? I mean, obviously that's definitely going to be a part of it. But what would your advice be about getting back in the game if you've taken a break?
Momentum is a hard thing to rekindle in any shape or form. If you have any of your original stuff on tape, use it, get a showreel made. If you don't have your stuff, maybe have a look around and see if it exists anywhere on the internet, or if you have to buy a DVD. Let's say you were in a few episodes of Day of the Triffids in 1981. Let's see the few episodes in there. Great, go out and buy the DVD and snip the bits out for your showreel, because that's there. That's extant material that shows that you can do the job. And a lot of it is showing people that you have the ability to do something. And if you've already done it before, that again can start people looking at you. Upload it to your Spotlight or upload it to your own webpage. I didn't have Spotlight for a while because I couldn't afford it. It was literally out of my reach because I was so damn poor. I hate to say that, but
now she's bloody loaded.
I work on Hollyoaks.
She just spent £400 on a drum kit today. Don't let her plead poverty now.
That's about the cheapest one you can get, though. So come on.
I'm only kidding.
It's not poverty, but it's not Phil Mitchell, put it that way, and his £350,000 paycheck.
Oh, bloody hell!
Oh God! Some of the bigger soaps, they pay by tenure. So if you've been in it for a long time, Rita, Ken Barlow, Phil Mitchell, what's the name? Dot Cotton. They're the really high earners because they've been in it the longest. What the beautiful thing about Hollyoaks is, and I don't think they'd mind me telling you, everyone gets paid the same rate per episode. So you only earn more at Hollyoaks if you have more episodes than the next person next to you. And that is only driven purely by storyline, not by tenure and not by how important someone thinks they are. So there's never any arguments in our green room about pay. Everyone knows that we're all in the same rate, and it creates a completely level playing field. And I wish that some others would go that way. And
that's interesting, isn't it? I guess, and then it works off meritocracy in a way, in terms of those who are working the hardest and putting the best performances in, I guess, get better storylines written for them. If it's like, well, actually, you know what?
No, that's not it at all. No, definitely not. It's down to what the storyliners want to do. So, for example, for a couple of years, Grace Black was doing lots of episodes because she was across different storylines. Nick Pickard.
He's been in it. He's the Ken Barlow, isn't he?
The Ken Barlow of Hollyoaks. And he doesn't mind being called that. He's just such a laid-back, decent guy who treats it exactly like his day job, and then he goes home. He doesn't really do celeb-y things very much. His episode count isn't very high at all at the moment, but it will be. It's a case of it goes in swings and roundabouts. Sometimes they'll go, who hasn't had a storyline for a while? So-and-so, so-and-so.
Oh, really? They're that fair? I thought it'd be like, right, well, you know what? Annie's smashing at the moment, or Nick's really, we know these guys have got like the best ability. We're going to give them the best storylines.
No.
Are they just nice and fair and share it out?
No. It's literally down to, obviously, the characters that they like the most, they will give more storylines to, just by the nature of pitching for storylines. Yeah. But it's really about the actor. Oh, so and so is, they're really popular. Let's give them more things. It tends not to be that. It is a very fair place to work, I think. I mean, the example is, I hope I'm not giving too many secrets. If anyone from Hollyoaks is watching, don't kill me. It's got more to do with the story. When they blew my school up in October 2017, I didn't work very much after that because I didn't have a school to work in.
No, of course, yeah.
So my episode count dropped, but that was because of the story. It's not because Annie isn't any good. Story is king. And that dictates how everything is cast and written, the storylines. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
It just makes me love it even more then, because it's such a great place to work. But like, it just seems so fair. Then I didn't think it'd be that fair.
We not just fair. I'm going to ding my bell. It's not just fair. We have women at every single level within our organization. We have female electricians, camera assistants, editors, directors, scriptwriters, production staff, canteen, production managers. One of our head production manager, Colette. We have women across every sphere of our company in a way that I've never seen before, because a lot of television is especially behind the scenes, is still very 70-30. Male dominated. I would say we've made a significant influx to that, and it probably helps that our two CEOs are women. So
yeah, powerful women. There's a lot of great TV. There's a lot of really powerful women in TV. You go, you take your hats off to some of them. People like Nicola Schindler. I mean, look what she's managed with Red Production Company.
Incredible woman.
Yeah,
Red
brilliant.
Productions is like. It's practically movie making for television. Well, it is the quality of what they do, and then of course the people at Kudos and everything like that as well. Yes, absolutely. They're doing amazing.
Definitely
work.
One of the industries in production, particularly in the north, where I think in terms of a gender gap, I don't see like much of one. I think it's we're doing well. Like I don't know about the south because I don't work as much in the south, but in the north,
we're doing better. I think there's a lot more openness about what we do, and the need for equality is seen now as being an asset to a company rather than something that is a pain in the neck, you know.
Yeah.
I know the BBC are making big inroads, but they kind of had to because I think, what was it, about 5 years ago, and they were saying how it was appallingly male. The women were very, very high in like current affairs and everything, but like in drama and stuff like that, there was a real problem, and you have to address it. You do. It's not tokenization. It's just saying, okay, so let's get some people in. We had 4 women directors auditioned a couple of years ago, and what they do is they write a scene, and us as actors, we play the scene, and one by one the director comes in, plots the scene, directs the action, and then we do the scene, and then they go, and then the next person comes in and they have a different idea how to do it. And from their interactions with the crew and the cast, and also the finished scene, they decide who to take on. So they took 2 women on that time who have gone on to be great directors for us.
What makes a director a great director for you? Because you work with, how many do you work with? Half a dozen?
Oh no, about 20.
More? Wow. God, I keep forgetting how big it is. Yeah, because the show's so got the big, isn't it? It must have the biggest cast in serial drama.
Well, we do it slightly differently to Coronation Street and stuff like that, in that we do it by block. So the director directs the week.
Right.
And that takes 6 weeks to film 1 week of television. And we have 5 units going at any one time. So there's 5 directors.
Wow. Okay.
5 units. 5 units, 6 scenes a day. Shooting about 20 minutes of footage out of like 11 hours of actual work.
So without, you don't have to mention any names, but why are your favorite directors your favorite directors? Because you're going to have a few favorite.
Because I love a lot of them. My favorite directors are the ones who have a vision about how they want a scene to look, and they don't want it to just be a camera on a tripod pointing in a certain direction. They want it to be fluid. The ones that use tracks, it takes longer to do, but it looks really interesting. We had a fantastic shot opening the episode on E4 tonight, where a steady cam went all the way around like this. It went through a bookcase. It went behind, and it went through the other shelves and everything. And that literally is one shot.
All in one shot. I love that.
It did take 12 takes, but it's a beautiful shot. And that's so exciting because it's cinematic. It's not just 3 cameras in a 3-sided set, which a lot of soaps are.
Hollyoaks are good like that. They do make things that are slightly more cinematic.
But also, a really good director is someone who will approach you after a take quietly and go, "That was really good. Can I ask, can you be a little bit more concerned rather than angry? And then maybe just throw something in at the end, a bit of bit of worry or something." And part of that is down to you as an actor being able to take the direction, but also the director is measuring the responses of people and going, "I know how I want the scene to play." Directors that give you good feedback and personal feedback, rather than saying, "Okay, Annie, I want you to do this, blah, blah, blah." They don't do that usually. They're very personal. They're very kind of one-on-one. And we have about 4 or 5 really, 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 really good directors. And they're constantly trusted with the big stunts and the massive episodes and stuff like that. And they are amazing. And they do not just work on Hollyoaks. They work on Hobby City. They work on Coronation Street. They work in Casualty. They work on Emmerdale. There's a lot of directors who just go around from place to place with all their different setups and their different stories, and they learn bit by bit. There's a lovely director called Tracy Rooney who I absolutely adore, largely because she was responsible for directing some of the most personal Roy and Haley Roy and Haley stories back in Coronation Street back in the day, and now I'm working with her, and she's so lovely. But then she goes back to Hobby City occasionally, and she did this wonderful scene about Sasha's depression, about him nearly jumping off the roof. And I'm a massive Hobby City fan, so we were able to talk, and I was proper fangirling about it and going, "Oh no, what happens to Sasha?" So I love directors that really care about what they do and don't just see it as a machine. I think that's the best way.
Yeah. So nice. Going to bring a little question up. Alex has popped up that I nearly missed before. He said, I know that you've said that it's about getting yourself more known, but how can you get more on the radar of TV casting directors when you don't have any screen credits? Because it's such a catch-22 situation that they won't bring you in if you haven't been in the show before. So I guess that's what we were saying before, Alex, in terms of, kind of, I think the people who I see getting themselves out of these ruts the best, in terms of that I don't have any credits, so I can't be brought in, and I can't get any credits till I am brought in. Is they really knuckle down and create their own work, but you can't just create crap. To put it bluntly, you've got to go, right, I'm going to take this seriously, and I'm going to create either a really decent show. It doesn't have to be like a huge long show, it could be a fringe thing, or I'm going to create a short film. But I'm going to spend the next year of my life doing this. It's not something I'm just going to just pull my camera out and just have a crack at. I'm going to produce something like, Rachel did it, didn't you? I mention her all the time, but Rachel Shenton did it when bloody won an Oscar for it. Exactly. I'm not saying you're going to get that every time, but when I was talking to her about writing that when she first had the idea, it was obviously not on her radar that she was going to win an Academy Award for it. She was just sick of not being brought in for the things she wanted to be brought in for, or being brought in for the things she didn't want to be brought in for. And that was catch-22, but it's completely transformed a life. Where do you stand on creating your own stuff, Annie?
Well, it depends. You see, I don't believe that every single actor can be a writer. I agree with that. I'm quite rubbish at it, to be honest. I write in bite-sized chunks. I'm a pretty good sketch writer. I'd probably have fitted into Monty Python quite well.
Right.
But I don't have the patience to sit down and write a story or tell a story. I don't really have one in me. That may not be true, but I've not found one yet. I'm much more of an interpreter and a performer. But there's plenty of people out there who are. And here's like I say, short films. Okay, so you have Salford University. I'm purely talking about Manchester. If there's people from all over the country here, I apologise, but there will be similar.
We have got somebody from Lockerbie here tonight. Someone said before.
Lockerbie, absolutely. Drive past it regularly. So I'm in Manchester, my example. Salford University has a film and television course. The Manchester College has actually the Manchester Film School as part of it. They have a studio, they have cameras, they make short films which are award-winning, RTS award-winning. And what they do is sometimes they write their own, sometimes they get a writer in to do it, but they are students that each one of them takes on a discipline. It might be a different discipline for every film. So the art director in one might be the sound supervisor for another, or they may decide to stay in their one discipline. Everyone, of course, wants to be a director, but that's not how it works. But these schools of film and television, they're always looking for actors for the short films. They usually can't pay because they're students, but the experience of doing it is absolutely invaluable because they will be behaving exactly as their tutors are teaching them in terms of making a standardized studio, in terms of the calls, in terms of the technical production of it. And at the end of the day, what you end up with is a little short film that you can add to your showreel. And that gives you on-screen experience, even though it's not on television. And these things are ridiculously important because, as you say, it's fine for a casting director to see you in theatre, but sometimes the theatre that you do is a little extravagant, sometimes it's a little bit stylized, and they may not be able to translate that into television. If they see you in a short film, they can. And you put the short films into your showreel, and then they click on your showreel when they're looking for something. Or if they've seen you on stage, they may go, that Johnny Smith.
What else has he done?
Put him up on showreel. Oh, he's got a showreel. Let's have a look. Oh, that looks good, doesn't it? That's how to do it. So it's not true that you have to have television to be invited to audition for television, but you do need to have some kind of visual record. And I think the world of student short films is an invaluable place, not just for gaining experience, but also for gaining material. Because I guarantee you, they always give you a copy of the film on a Blu-ray or a memory stick or something like that, because that's part of the deal, you know. And they know it as well.
Yeah.
You're doing it for the experience. That's what I would recommend you do. And trust me, you will be seen.
I agree, and you don't have to. This is the thing. So I've spoke to a lot of TV execs and stuff in the past as well, about pitching, ideas for stories and that kind of thing. And the feedback from all of them has always been, there's an awesome guy, he's head of BBC Drama North, called Tom Sherry. I was talking to him recently, and he was like, he was asking me if I had any, stories, or people I knew had stories. And he's like, because the consensus is like, it's misinterpreted. People, think, oh, I have to be the writer in order to have my story put on TV. And he's like, no, you don't, right? If you can come to me with a fantastic idea, I will hook you up with a writer like, Danny Brocklehurst, like a great writer. We can hook you up with these people. And Sally Wainwright, all these great Northern writers, or South, if you're in the South. Tom just deals with the North. He's BBC North, but you don't have to, Alex, kind of like be the guy who writes a thing, films a thing, edits a thing, does the score, distributes it, promotes it. If you can bring a collective, put yourself out and get people. This is what I would do if I was in that situation. I would go, right, what can I bring to the table? And then what else do I need? And then how do I convince good people, not shit? You don't want to just get anyone involved. This is the thing, right? I'm all about collaboration, but choose wisely who you get involved with stuff. And if you can create a great little team.
Here.
Oh, go on, Annie.
Okay, so I've shot about 3 or 4 short films on this.
A little handy cam.
This little HD camcorder here. I've got this. It's not the best thing in the world, but I can plug a microphone into it. It's full HD and it's got large amount of memory and all that kind of thing. This is a great thing to start off with. You don't have to have a giant movie camera. And the quality of this is absolutely off the scale. However, if you're going into a training environment and someone comes up to you with one of these, run. But you won't anyway, because the training environment, they have Arri Alexa cameras, they have professional Sony cameras, they have really good kit. Manchester, the reason I'm talking about Manchester College is because I worked there for 2.5 years as a technician, and they've got an incredible amount of stuff. And what to do there is contact the Manchester College and say, look, I'm really interested in being involved with your student films. And they'll say, oh, well, we might be able to give you expenses, but no money. And that turns a lot of actors off, because they go, oh, well, if you're working, but then if you're still waiting for the break, if you're waiting for the exposure, and at the end of it, you end up with a 10-minute short that you can edit into your showreel and looks amazing, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and for those who don't know what an Arri Alexa is, those cameras are about 40,000 quid or something like that. So it's like, this is stuff that's like very, very like top end. So and obviously you're not going to be able to go, give me your Arri, I'll just use that, because you're not going to know how to use it. Yeah. But if you get a team together, then you want to get either something like Annie's got there to start off with, or if you can convince students who have access to that stuff to shoot your stuff, they're going to do it for you. You just need the story, and I mean, Alex says here is that he's currently starting a web series. He's got people involved and some crew as well. Keep the momentum up with that, Alex, and there will be many times, when me creating content. Yeah, because when I'm not making short films, but I'm putting a vlog out every week. I'm podcasting. I'm doing interviews like this and stuff. And there are definitely times, and you'll get this, Annie, when you're working, where you hit walls and you just go, oh God, like I've got so much to do. You get overwhelmed. You want to give up. That's going to happen to you when you're planning a web series, Alex. But push on through, man. You're going to want to give up so many times. Hang in there. You've just got to hang in there. Keep creating.
Everything that you produce, everything that you appear in, everything that goes onto your showreel is a stepping stone. None of it is worthless. It's all important, because it adds to the cumulative amount of content that someone who does have a lot of power can look at. And it just needs that one thing to hook them and go, let's get her in for an audition.
And then that one audition can change it all.
The meeting itself is more important than what you're auditioning for. Because the meeting may be a case of, we really like her, but this part isn't right. Let's call her back in at some point, like they did for me. part wasn't suitable for me because I had no experience, but the next part was perfect. And that's down to really good casting director who saw what I could do, gave me the opportunity, and I am forever in his debt for giving me that break, because without that, I don't know. I'd like to think I'd be somewhere where I am, but
never know, do you?
That first big step can really help you. And getting an agent, as an actor, getting an agent, it's more important than you think. It really is, because it allows you to see the castings that other people can't see. And that's the problem, is that there's so much castings going on out there. And has anyone ever got a job from Spotlight's castings listings? Have they?
Without an agent?
Oh, no, just in general. I'll tell you why I'm saying that, because the amount of it is so much about presenters and models and perfect images of people. And I worry about things like that, because an agent goes, no, that's rubbish. It's no good for you. No. That's the one. And otherwise, I think you can waste your time on Spotlight's castings.
So I think what you're talking about there is Spotlight Link, Annie, which is what people who, if you're not represented, you can basically ask Spotlight to email you, or even when you are represented, you can ask Spotlight to email you suitable breakdowns.
Right.
And then what you find is, you get emailed all of the stuff that, because no casting director wants to hit send to all, because they'll be flooded with tens of thousands of submissions. Unfortunately, the lower quality stuff will go out on send to all. The good stuff's kept behind, and then it's just given to, obviously given to the agents directly through Spotlight. So there is occasionally you'll get something that's very, very specific going out, and I go, oh, that's in a really well-known thing. But the majority of stuff, will be commercials, or will be, music videos, or some of the lower end stuff. Because the real good stuff still goes out on Spotlight, but it just goes direct to good agents. So like you say, an agent is critical. It's
not essential, but if you can get yourself to that position like I did, so keep working at the stepping stones, and regard an agent as a stepping stone, not the destination. And they can help. And they can help you to step maybe a little faster, or just get you more auditions. I noticed my audition rate go up substantially once I had an agent. And obviously, the more often your audition, although it can be soul destroying because you keep going for stuff and you don't get it, at least you're being seen. And we're back down to this being seen thing, which is absolutely essential.
It's really critical. So if you go to when we wrap up tonight, guys, I put an interview out with the casting director Emma Stafford today on actonthis.tv. All premium members get access to that. It's 70 minutes long, really in depth, and also talks a lot about just human experiences as opposed to just acting stuff. But Emma said, Annie, one thing she kept hitting home was no experience is wasted. No experience is ever wasted. You go, you audition, you don't get it. It's not a waste. She will bring you back in, bring you back in.
And some of the jobs you get won't be very entertaining, and you'll go, oh God, this is annoying, this is bad, but it's better than sitting in your bum.
Yep.
I think that's the best way of putting it. And I've done some really awful stuff in theatre and I've just gone, oh God. But you do it because you love it, whether or not it's high quality or scraping by. You do it because you love it. And I don't think anyone should be in this job unless you love it, because you're never going to
got to be, otherwise you don't hack it long enough, do you?
No, exactly. You have to love it and be hungry for it. And I was hungry enough that I just waited until something came along that matched my skill set perfectly in a way that many other people didn't. And that was pure meeting of the fates.
Yeah. Definitely. Right, we're going to take two more questions. Let's grab one here at random. So, Tanika, what are you saying? Tanika says, hey, hope everyone's good. Sorry if this has been spoke about already, just joining in. Any advice for actors wanting to break into behind the scenes to further the knowledge of the business? What about like runners and stuff at Hollyoaks, Annie? What's going on there?
Yes, absolutely. We have people constantly writing in to be runners. A lot of the problem with television is, and I'm not going to speak necessarily for Hollyoaks because I'm not sure how they do it, but certainly BBC ITV and that, it's a very difficult industry to break into at any level. So even if you've been there and you've trained as a script supervisor or you've been trained as a production manager or something, they'll always take you in as a runner. That's how you start. No one ever goes in at the top job. So even the trained producers are going in as runners. Is what I'm saying. So if you have something to back you up again, and you say, look, I've done this, I've done that, I'm an actor, or even if you've like built sets for 5 years, if you've built sets for a small theatre company or something, and you go write to them and say, look, I'm really interested in television experience, and I'd really like to maybe help you out as an assistant runner or runner or whatever. Then they'll keep your name on file and they'll hopefully pull you in at some point. And literally, again, that will let you see how the system works. It is difficult. I couldn't get into television for love nor money, and I had a huge amount of experience with cameras and sound and everything. But because I had no broadcast experience, all mine was in corporate. So, like in the 80s and 90s, I used to work for corporate video, which was pretty much shot on Sony U-matic equipment, a kind of large-scale Betamax.
Right, okay.
Giant shoulder cameras. And what you were doing is you were filming seminars and talks. And in the case of industrial things, you were filming safety demonstrations and things like that. And that was what I did. But none of it was transferable to broadcast, much to my disappointment. So it's tricky. It's very tricky. But it's not.
Absolutely not impossible. I mean, I just think anything worthwhile is not easy, and it's not exclusive to entertainment and the acting industry. You go out there and just ask doctors how hard it is to become a doctor or a dentist. It's freaking hard, right? Whatever. And ultimately, if you want it, I say this all the time, man. If you want it, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. And you've got to just keep exploring. If you want to work behind the scenes, look up on LinkedIn. Every single production coordinator at every single production company in the land.
Stamina. You need so much stamina. You need the support of your friends. Don't think you can do everything by yourself, and that you can be you need your friends to make sure that they constantly are telling you that you're doing the right thing and you're doing well. Don't be around negative people who say, "Oh, give up, get a job in a bookmaker or something like that." You don't need that crap. If you want to be in the industry, you will keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. It's a bit like being insomniac. You'll keep at it and you will sleep. It does happen. It really does.
That's a really lovely way to put it. If you're insomniac, keep at it and you will sleep. It's like that. Keep at it, keep at it, keep at it, and you will work.
It's a funny parallel. I just keep in my head. That's it. It is that. And as I say, I could have given up on this a few years before, and as I say, I didn't, and I was still doing stuff, and this particular opportunity came up. As I say, there'd been several other opportunities. Cucumber came out a couple of years before, and I was in line to play the part of Helen, which eventually went to Bethany Black. And the reason it went to Bethany Black is because she's much younger and kind of cooler than me, and that suited the part. So she got it because, like any actor, she was a more suitable person for the role. For Boy Meets Girl, I wasn't in the line for that. I was up for Nobody's Perfect, the other one, and they made I'm going to tell you what they did. They made a terrible mistake. It was part of a thing called the Trans Comedy Award, and they came up with 2 scripts pilots that they were going to determine. They were determined to make one of them into a television series, comedy based around a character being trans, but not because they were trans.
Okay.
So these 2 things happened, and they did rehearsed readings of both of them. And the cast that did the rehearsed reading went on to do Boy Meets Girl, the actual series. Nobody's Perfect wasn't taken up after the rehearsed reading. And the part I was shortlisted for, they gave to Lee Ingleby.
Oh, right. Okay. Wow.
And I was like, you've completely missed the whole point of the exercise. by casting a guy in the role. And they were like, oh, no. And I said, no, it's fine. I says, you know, I'll keep quiet for a while, but people will eventually know what you've done. It's like a ridiculous thing to do. The whole point was to have trans talent and a story about that, because it hadn't been done before. This was the BBC trying to be groundbreaking. I was very disappointed at that. Not at not getting the role so much as just going, oh my God. But there was such good actresses in with me.
Yep.
Why did they give it to him? I didn't even see him in the rehearsal room. And again, this is not Lee Inglewood's fault. This is the fault of the people who were doing it at the time by thinking that it was appropriate to cast a guy in that role. And that's where it can sometimes fall down, when the perception of a particular role doesn't fit what you think it is, and you just have to go with it. And you go, well, that was weird. And all of us have been watching television and have seen a part that we've been up for, and have gone, I could have done that better.
I had the exact same thing when I couldn't. Don't Take My Baby. Was written. Jack Thorne wrote it about a guy with my eye condition. I auditioned for 8 weeks for it. It got to the point where I was like, I've got this. It's written about me, and I understand this better than anybody else. Part ended up going to a guy with 20/20 vision, and I ended up getting written into it as a guy with 20/20 vision. And I'm like, then consulting on set, and they're going, "What can Adam see in this situation?" I'm like, "If you'd just given me the part,
give me the role, I could do it." I know.
So you just have to suck it up.
There's sometimes just no logic to it at all. And that's the point. I think that's actually a really good way to say this. There is no logic to getting work within television, theatre, and film. It's all instinct. It's all people going, I think they'd be good at that. I think they'd be good at this. Let's have a look. It's an instinctual thing. And as a result, it's not like you can do that and that and that, which will lead to that, which will then do that. It's not that at all. Sometimes you'll do that, which will lead to that, but then you're back to square one, and then you go, it's chaotic. And the chaos of it, the chaos of auditioning, the chaos of being knocked back for something that you're sure you'd be good at, is what puts people off, and they go, okay, I'm going to get another job. Going to leave. And that's the problem.
Embrace the chaos.
The tenacity you need to go on and go, okay, none of this makes any sense to me, but I'm still going to continue. I'm still going to do it, and I'm still going to have the faith. And patience
and hustle. No, I agree. Sam says, so refreshing, Annie. Thank you so much for straight talking honesty. Andy says, tonight has been so interesting and enlightening. Thank you, Ross and Annie. Chris Pan is getting us to vote for him, his Mandy monologue. Chris, because of your sheer cheek on a live broadcast, I'll vote for you, mate. Don't get. I'll sort that out. Mel says, support friends. Yep, let's do it. Tanika says, thanks so much. Needs to hear that. Perseverance. Wonderful advice, says Inez. Dawn says, thank you so much, Ross and Annie. Brilliant night. Listen to you both. Great advice. Great advice. Can't even bloody read. That's my eyes. Thanks so much. It's gone bloody 10 o'clock, and it's only 20 past 10.
See, I talk too much. I'm sorry.
No, you don't not talk too much. I love this. I used to do a lot of these live broadcasts for premium members on actsonthis.tv, guys. There is Annie's still available on the website in the members area if you want to hear all about. I mean, we did this like nearly 3 years ago. The advice on it's still so relevant today, though. It's all kind of evergreen content. And there's probably another 100 hours worth of premium content on actsonthis.tv right now. Go get a membership if you're not part of it. It's the way that you can support me doing this so that I can carry on doing it. I just wanted to bring Annie on tonight in the Facebook group because I thought, well, one, I want you to watch her on telly this week because this is career-defining work for her.
It's very, very important to me this week, and there's a lot of surprises. If you watch Hollyoaks, there's a lot of surprises and a lot of tears, but it is some of the best work I've done. I'm very proud of it. And like I say, I was sat there tonight weeping my eyes out at myself.
It's
that's the height of ego, isn't it?
You know she's invested when she's crying at herself. She's already filmed the scenes. But no, that's awesome. It is. It's absolutely brilliant. So please do watch Annie. Reach out to us both on social media. Let us know what you think. I will be tuning in tomorrow night. I missed the first look tonight, so I'll be looking at that. But it looks incredible. I mean, wrap up for us, Annie. What do you want to kind of leave people with message wise? Like there's people of all stages of the career here. Really, some people starting off looking for their first TV credit. Some people have been out of the industry, like we said, for a while, and they're coming back into it. Ultimately, I mean, the common factor for most people just in life is that at some stage at any one stage, we're all facing some kind of adversity to get to that next level, whatever that is. So I'll leave it to you to wrap up with some words of inspiration.
Oh God, words of inspiration. No pressure. Okay. It's funny how something that can start off as a germ in your head when you're a school child, and then you want to do it, and then you wonder how, and everyone tells you can't, and you should get a proper job, and you fight against what they're saying, and you go, no, I want to be an actor. No, you need to be a joiner, or you need to be a nurse, you need to be this, you need to be that. But you don't. You carry on, and you go, no, I want to be an actor, or I want to be a director, or I want to be a writer. And they all say to you, no, that can't happen, because that happens in this world. That feeling that you felt of, no, you're not going to tell me I want to do this. You're telling me I'm a child and I don't know what I'm saying. It's translatable to today. It's translatable to you as an adult, that you keep that child still saying to you, I want to do this. This is part of who I am. It's part of what I want to do. Don't do it for the money. Don't do it because you want to be famous. Don't do it because you think it'll give you some kind of perceived power, because none of that is true. I have a certain amount of fame, which is quite pleasant, but I don't get hassled in the street. I'm certainly not rich, and I certainly have no power. What I do have is a job I absolutely love, and I've wanted to do my entire life, and I have it, and you can too. Just be patient and do all the stuff behind the scenes. Go to the local theatres, visit people, network, sit in the bar and talk to the writers. Go up to an actor and say, this is really good. How did you get into this? And an actor will go, oh, well, so-and-so told me that this was happening. And his friend's a writer. Oh, come over and I'll talk to you. That's it. Network at Fringe Theatre. It's unbelievably good. Climb the greasy pole. Fingers crossed.
I love it. It's all amazing advice. Honestly, yeah. Honestly, if there are 100 ways to get what you want, do all 100. Don't do 10 and give up.
And then go back and sleep for a week. And look after yourselves, because what we do is very, very draining, because a lot of it is about disappointment. A lot of it is disappointment. And get back on the roller skates and start again. And have that reserve of your mates backing you up and going, yeah, and coming to see you in shows and do that kind of thing. If you're around people who are constantly saying to you, like a careers teacher, oh, you might as well get a proper job. No.
Yeah, surround yourself with good people, definitely. And if you're part of this community, you are surrounded by good people. If I can do anything for you, please reach out in the Facebook group on the main site. If you're a member of the avatsonlist.tv, just go and get a freaking membership. I know I sound like I'm selling all this like gold that's on the website, but I swear to God, it's changed. It's changed my career by going out and interviewing these casting directors, actors like Annie, writers, producers, execs. I have implemented all that advice, and I'm working like really regularly on really good TV. No lead roles like Annie's got, but lots of decent roles in good dramas. Though. So I know. Well, I'm just waiting, Annie, for that tipping point to happen.
It's going to happen. It's all drive-by. It's drive-by. But you're still working infinitely more than I was 5 years ago. And it's because you're determined, and because also you've got a great voice and you do a lot of voiceover work and stuff like that. And I bump into you from time to time in Hollyoaks when there's an audition, something happening.
Yeah, we were there not long ago.
Yes, not long ago. And you're doing really well as someone who is, again, determined and working towards that moment. But don't forget, this is really important to know. The break, or whatever it is that you get, and let's say you get 1 year in a soap opera. That's all I thought I was going to get, 1 year. It's another stepping stone. It's a bigger stepping stone, and it gets you certainly a lot further up the river because you've been seen. So you're more likely to be invited into the room more often. But that jobs can end. They can kill you off. They can decide, like poor Riley, that they didn't have a storyline for him, and so that was it. He was out of work. He thought he was in it for quite a while. Didn't happen. I was lucky that they decided on more storylines for me, and that is continuing. I'm not leaving. Shh, I didn't say that. We're trying to tease that I might leave. I didn't say that. Please, nobody. I'm enjoying it. I love it. But they could call me up and say, okay, we're not going to renew your contract. And I'm back to square one. And that's
grateful
it.
for every opportunity, guys.
A job for life in this industry. Unless you get a job on Coronation Street, which is, they can make it a job for life. But most of it is short-term stuff. Baptiste, that fabulous series that just finished last week. What a fantastic thing to get a part in and work in. And actually had a trans actress in it called Talisa Garcia, who is just who's done some other stuff and is she's from Chile, I think, originally, and she had a good part in 4 of the episodes, and really, really good to see her being represented there and doing a good job at it as well. But again, that's a 6-part series, which they probably took about 6 months to film. Bang! Everyone's back to square one. Everyone's sat in the front room playing Xbox because there's no work. Life as a creative individual does not have a goal other than to be productive. There is not an end point that you reach and everything is perfect. It doesn't happen. That's why your tenacity is so important. I'm sorry, I'm going on.
No, I love it. And just, ultimately, just enjoy the journey. Every single second of it. Definitely. No, appreciate it, Annie. Thanks so much. And like I say, if you want to check out Annie's, the previous broadcast that we did, do go check that out in the members area, atsonthis.tv. If you're not a member, go get a trial, atsonthis.tv/7 days. You can get a free trial. Then after that, it's just literally £10 a bloody month. It's £2.50 a week for some absolute golden advice. And it will help me be able to continue producing it for you. So this is a little extra special broadcast for a guest on tonight. Probably won't be doing this that much in the Facebook group, but I love this, so I'm going to start doing this more over on the main site in the members area. I'm going to bring some people on, and we'll do some live broadcasts as opposed to just lots of podcasts that I've been doing recently. So Annie, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Appreciate you all for being here. I understand it's 10:30. And you have chosen to spend this time with us tonight. I don't underestimate that. You could have been watching Netflix and chilling or whatever you were doing, and you've chosen to spend this time with us. So thank you.
Star Trek Discovery now.
Oh, are you? It's but it's a bit of Star Trek. But thanks to Alex, thanks to Karen, Janet, Lynn, Sam, Rosie. Try to give as many shout outs to people as Andrew, Wallace, Gemma, Mel, Lynn, Lowry, Chris Pan, Jason. Not mentioned you tonight, Jason. John Moody, Steve Idwaney, Indra. Who else haven't I mentioned there? Tanika. There's just been dozens and dozens of people that have joined us. It means the world to us. Definitely. All of you watch Annie on Hollyoaks this week. Let us know your thoughts. And like I say, if I can do anything for you, ask in the Facebook group. You can always email me, ross@atsonthis.tv. That does come to me, and I will always reply. It might take me a little week or so, but I will always get back to you. So Annie, you stay where you are. I'll end this broadcast for everyone else, and then me and you will just, we'll do a debrief and figure out how you're going to get me to come to Hollyoaks for 2 years or 3 years. We'll
Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Hollyoaks,
right, go.
6:30, Channel 4.
Hollyoaks, 6:30, Channel 4. Be there. Tweet Peter Hunt, the casting director, as well. Let him know what an amazing job Annie's doing and all the execs, so she can stay in it for a long time. How long would you do it for, Annie, if you could?
10 years.
10. Go for the decade.
At the moment, I'd love to.
So there's 7 years left. Sally St. Clair.
Maybe.
I love it. Amazing. Right. Thank you all. I will catch up with you soon. We'll be back live next Monday night. Oh, go and check out Emma Stafford's vlog that I did. I did a podcast with her. I published on the website today on atsonthis.tv. And I also did a behind the scenes vlog. If you go to youtube.com/watch Ross, watch episode 50. It just uploaded today. You'll get to see behind the scenes of me recording that. And you get a lovely little chat with Emma at the end that's exclusive to the vlog. It's not on the podcast. Talking about her experiences. About an ethos similar to what we've spoken about tonight, Annie, about saying, listen, she says, listen, the role, the job will always find the right actor. She's very fatalist like that in terms of just, what is right for you will not pass you by and it will find you. And I think that's exactly what's happened in your life, Annie.
Possibly, yes. Meeting of minds.
Yeah, definitely. Love it.
No.
Right, until next week, love to you all. Thanks so much for being here. I'm going to end this and hopefully not blow up Facebook, but I'll catch you with you soon, all right? Oh, Annie, we said the catchphrase, bye for now. You know that. In 3, 2, 1, bye for now.
For now.
Yes, my catchphrase. Bye.